The internet is ablaze, ladies and gentlemen, and no, it's not due to a recent diss track or passive-aggressive Instagram jab. Instead, the focus is on Remy May, who was recently arrested after her own son allegedly confessed to a murder and claimed she was involved. Before you think it can get any worse, get ready for a Jailhouse audio clip that is going viral. In it, Remy's voice is unmistakably crystal clear and compilating criminon enough to make you stop in your tracks and wonder, did she really just say that on a recorded line? This isn't just a hip-hop feud. We're talking about murder cover-up, accusations, and outright courtroom chaos. The once respected queen of loyalty might be trading her microphone for a jumpsuit. Fans are going crazy. The internet timeline is on fire. And the streets are ablaze. What you're about to hear could completely change your perception of Remy Ma. Let's go back in time. What started out as a simple homicide investigation swiftly turned into a full-fledged nightmare, straight out of a hip-hop thriller centering on the devoted mother and Remy Morup icon, who is now allegedly involved in a murder case. No, this isn't some Reddit conspiracy theory or fan fiction. Rather, it's based on leaked court transcripts, private documents, and a Jailhouse call that has received over 12 million views in just 48 hours. So how did we get here? Jason Remy's 23-year-old son from a previous relationship has always been quiet, out of the spotlight, and free of bling and scandals. However, up until now, Jason has been arrested for second-degree murder after Daryl Tino Montgomery was found shot, execution style, in a parking garage on the New York-New Jersey border. At first, surveillance footage was too blurry to help, and the case was unsolved until, according to insiders close to the investigation, Jason broke when detectives showed his cell phone location data. He not only admitted that he was there, but he also said something that nobody saw coming. I wasn't alone, though. My mother helped me clean it up. Wait, is Remy Ma, the Grammy-nominated musician who was once imprisoned for 6 years in Bedford Hills for shooting a friend over unaccounted for money, actually involved in another violent case? Internet users were shocked by the incident, which involved her own son. One fan wrote on Twitter, "This is not the kind of loyalty we meant when we said Remy was ride or die." Another joked, "She really said mama will fix it and meant it." However, the NYPD did not respond to the jokes, and within 24 hours, Remy was quietly arrested without a press conference or high-speed dramagist. A pair of cold cuffs outside. Papoose is involved in this story as well. But first, let's go back to the arrest, because this is where things go from shocking to outright damning. Shortly after she was booked, a recorded Jailhouse phone call surfaced in which Remy was heard saying, "I told him to stay quiet, but now he's trying to drag." The scene was crowded with paparazzi from a Harlem restaurant, and someone even recorded her mouth telling Papoose to get a lawyer. That was all the prosecutors needed. And now it wasn't just here that a confession was recorded. A mother was attempting to protect her son, and in doing so, she might have sealed her own doom. Welcome to the most bizarre family scandal since anything on the Zeus network. Yes, this isn't Remy's first run-in with the law. Not only was she notorious for her rhymes, but she was also convicted in 2007 for doing time, according to one investigator who wished to remain anonymous. "We believe M. Smith Ty knew her son's intentions and helped clean up afterward." Another added, "We've never seen a hip-hop icon cover a murder like that one, of shooting a friend during an argument over missing money. 6 years in prison." Released in 2014 and supposedly reformed, but sometimes the past doesn't just fade away, especially when it leaves behind bloodstains and spent shell casings. After processing, Remy was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, which indicates that authorities believe she was involved before it even happened. If you think that's the end, get ready for part 2, because the entire leaked jail call transcript sent shockwaves across the internet. This is unprecedented, and just when it couldn't get any darker. It did. When that audio surfaced, the damage wasn't just to Remy Ma's public image. It also ended any slim chance she had of avoiding a courtroom. The barely 2-minute-long clip showed her pacing audibly and her voice shaky. But what really shocked everyone was not the emotion, but rather the accusations that she had planned. The cleanup and the rumors that Papoose was already frantically cleaning his social media accounts and lawyering up behind the scenes. The internet didn't wait for lawyers or official statements. In less than 6 hours, Free Remy and Remy Dunn were trending side by side, with fan pages broken. Some thought she was being framed. Others weren't so sympathetic. And one brutal line from a recorded phone call became instant headline material. I told him to keep quiet and not to trust anyone. I didn't think he would actually confess. That's not loyalty, that's stupidity, the tweet said, referring to the 6 years she spent as her son's accomplice. As the internet heated up, prosecutors acted quickly, filing motions to admit the jail call as direct evidence of conspiracy and secretly starting to get ready for what they knew would happen. A televised trial. This was no longer just a murder case. It was now a full-scale media spectacle. Papoose, the Rayerde husband who had supported Remy during her initial bid, disappeared without posting or making any statements, but TMZ cracked the code as usual. A source purportedly leaked a screenshot of a private message that Papoose had sent to a close friend, saying, "I warned her not to get involved. I ain't doing this again." That one sentence went viral online. Papoose was about to walk away. Hip-hop's most devoted husband was finally letting go. But the legal firestorm wasn't seen the 48 hours following Remy's arrest. Court documents started to surface, and they weren't just damning, they were frightening. According to one report, Remy's fingerprints were discovered on a trash bag that was found close to the scene and contained gloves, a hoodie, and a burner phone. Prosecutors claimed that she assisted in getting rid of the evidence, while another affidavit stated that previously useless surveillance footage had been digitally altered and a woman. The defense was shaken by the alleged sighting of a man with Remy's build and hair pacing close to a parked SUV 10 minutes after the shooting. Jason, the son whose confession ignited the controversy, lawyered up and shut down, but prosecutors hinted in a press briefing that they might flip him to testify against his own mother. This is where things got messy, as inside sources from the holding facility revealed more disturbing details. Reddit threads erupted with theories about whether Remy was severing ties or protecting loved ones from the storm. Others suggested Jason wasn't the only son involved, while one viral claim suggested there was another child the public doesn't know about. Nothing was confirmed, but the chaos on the internet only got louder when the DAs arrived. Remy had refused all visits except from her lawyer. Not even Papoose was permitted to see her. "Let me be very clear, no one is above the law, not even rap royalty," she said, staring down a sea of cameras. She added that they think Remy Ma knew about the crime, helped cover it up, and tried to obstruct justice at her bail hearing. Remy appeared in an unreadable video wearing a beige jumpsuit. Her lawyer pushed for her release, citing her notoriety and track record of appearing in court again. But the judge rejected the charges, were too severe, and there was a chance that witnesses would interfere. That's why Remy Ma was officially locked up and gone. From rap battles to Riker's red carpet, she faced 2 criminal charges, and the world watched her downfall unfold in real time. However, authorities tapped her phone weeks prior to the arrest, suspecting her of involvement in other, undisclosed if it comes down to it. "I'll say I was never there, but if he folds, that's on him. I already did my time. I'm not doing it again," she is said to have said in the recording. The recording wasn't supposed to be seen, but once it leaked, it sparked a frenzy that converted music blogs into forensic labs and fans become detectives. That line alone suggested premeditated denial tactics and a deeper engagement than anyone could have predicted, re-examining past interviews and zooming down on blurry pictures in search of warning signs. They discovered an old Vlad TV broadcast in which Remy made a joke. "If my son ever caught a body, I'd be there before the cops even. Showed up, that's my child." It was humorous at the time, but as pandemonium brewed, it seemed like a dire prophecy. Her legal team attempted to restore control by publicly refuting all of the accusations their Remy Ma had an alibi, at least on paper. But the court of public opinion had already made up its mind that they didn't want explanations. They wanted accountability. And while the headlines focused on her son and the cleanup, rumors behind the scenes suggested something much bigger. They said the jail audio was misinterpreted and the footage was inconclusive. But by that time, the storm was already out of their control. Rico charged a sweeping career ending, but the DA then revealed another shocking piece of evidence. Remy made a string of large cash withdrawals just days after the murder. Prosecutors said that some of the money was used to silence witnesses, including one who had initially recanted their statement. It may have been a coincidence, but to the DA, it appeared to be the most terrifying aspect is that it nearly succeeded for months while prosecutors scrambled in the dark. The crime scene was a jumble of contradictions. The fingerprints taken from important evidence were inconclusive, muddied, partial, and icily challenged in court. And the surveillance footage that purportedly showed someone running away was grainy and distorted. Raising more questions than nit was the perfect storm of plausible deniability. Defense attorneys were already honing their arguments, creating a narrative around coincidence gaps in the investigation and character assassination. If things had continued as they were, the case would have collapsed long before it reached a jury. Even the financial trail, the offshore accounts, and the overlapping LLCs were murky, hinting at shady dealings but not conclusively linking anyone to the crime. Then came the leak. A 2-minute jailhouse phone call that was routinely recorded, reviewed, and nearly ignored. It turned out to be a landslide. Prosecutors claimed that the voice in it belonged to Remy Ma, and it said just enough to undo months of meticulous preparation. It wasn't a confession, but it was too close. There was a reference to cleaning things up before court, and a name was dropped that hadn't even been on the record. Perhaps it wouldn't have been damning on its own. But in light of the shell companies, the hazy video, and the missing witnesses, it was the final nail in the coffin that turned a shaky suspicion into a concrete theory. Prosecutors now had a timeline, a motive, and a network. And what had been circumstantial gained teeth. A new indictment was drafted within 48 hours after the audio was verified, according to sources close to the case, and Remy went from being a person of interest to the center of a criminal web. She is currently facing charges of obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and accessory to murder. This is not just a headline anymore. 'Tis real time, real consequences, and real prison time. A digital forensic team began piecing together deleted messages, encrypted chats, and financial transfers disguised as consulting fees after management team phones were seized. Emails were subpoenaed, and what had once been a slow-moving legal saga turned into a wildfire. Remy Ma was fighting for her freedom as much as her career, and rumors circulate inside the courtroom that her legal team is frantically attempting to prevent the phone call from being admitted. That voice, that vulnerable moment in a conversation she believed to be private, is the one thing they never planned for and the one thing they can't undo. 25 to life. And suddenly she was back online, but not in the way anyone had anticipated. The prosecution's case, once on life support, now has a pulse. And if the judge permits that audio to be played in court, it could be game over. In a moment. Toke's creators flooded the app with reenactments of the notorious jail call, lip syncing every word as if it were a viral sept bite. Some actors played both Remy and the mystery voice on the other end, complete with orange jumpsuits, wigs, and green screen jail backdrops. It wasn't just content, it was mockery at scale. There were no kinder old interviews, and Remy's declaration that she was the realist was resurfaced. Unbreakable loyalty to the bone was evident throughout the game. but suddenly they were playing like punchlines. One user said she was the realest till she got real federal in a trending tweet. Another merely shared a picture of Remy Ma. Nah, Remy. And the memes mercilessly altered her famous attire into jail uniforms. Screenshots of court sketches that were altered into false mixtape covers. And even a phony flyer for a live performance by Cell Block C Freestyle. The online community wasn't interested in due process or redemption. They weren't content with her falling from grace. Instead, they wanted her dragged, broken, and erased. The same platforms that once celebrated her bars and her comeback now treated her with contempt, cannibalizing fans who turned into critics. Critics who turned into vultures, and even people who'd never heard her music, then saw hot takes and viral skits, and Remy had already lost in the court of public opinion. While the firestorm was going on, Jason disappeared like a ghost. With no surprise court appearances, no purr walks, and no cryptic social media posts. He was discreetly transferred to a private facility under sealed orders, and no one knew where or why. Some insiders whispered that the silence said it all. It was protective custody, standard practice. Others weren't buying the safety narrative, claiming that Jason wasn't just being hidden, but was being coached and prepared behind closed doors to deliver the final blow. The one move that could end the case. After all, if the accusations were true, Jason knew more than anyone should, and his testimony could mean the difference between a hung jury and a life sentence. Drive. The final nail in the coffin of his own mother, because if he flips or testifies, this case doesn't just shift. It explodes. The world waited in silence, wondering if survival was more important than blood, but even in hiding, he couldn't escape the backlash. A family member's voicemail, which was leaked to the blog, said, "You got your own mother locked up, ain't no coming back from that." They may also be correct because fans keep asking why she would do it. And why would a woman who worked so hard to rebuild her life, had her husband, her career, and her freedom risk everything for a mistake? Her son made. Perhaps the most tragic part of all is that even if Remy wins this case, even if her lawyers pull off the miracle of the decade, her name is already gone. Radio cut sponsorships gone. That comeback documentary canceled mid-it. And she's not just off the charts, she's off the map. A final court date is set for next month. And the prosecution says they're bringing 12 witnesses, including her former manager, her cousin, a forensic analyst, and possibly Papoose if he agrees. There's talk of unreleased voice notes, body cam footage, and an alleged burner phone from a trash bin. She's a mother because that blind ride-or-die love that forgives too, quickly and protects too much made her step in when she should have stepped away. And now she's paying the price. No cameras, no courtroom streaming, but let's face it, the leaks are coming because, in a story, this messy silence never lasts. Not when it's Remy Ma. Every click, every whisper, every tweet feels like watching a legacy die in real time. This isn't just a murder trial, this is the collapse of a legend. Prosecutors say that everything behind a recording studio links Remy to the cover-up. And the judge isn't playing. One thing is certain this time. Remy Ma might not return, not to the stage, not to the microphone, and not to us. The question now becomes, was she just a mother trying? Mother rapper and woman who once defied the odds only to end up back where she started, behind bars, not for pulling a gun, but for standing too close to the one who did, for loving someone who didn't know how to keep a secret. The jail audio plays repeatedly throughout every timeline you've heard. The receipts appeared in paperwork with her own son's voice cracking on the stand, saying things no child should ever say about their mother, and we are now waiting for the final verdict for the last leak. Was she acting to protect her son, or was she something else entirely? She crossed the line so many times that she forgot it was even there, because this wasn't about love, but rather control, secrets, and doing dirt with the hope that no one would pull the receipts to see if Remy Ma survives, or if she serves as a warning about how far loyalty can go before it takes everything with it. Tell me, was she shielding herself or her son? Did Jason betray her, or did she finally tell the truth? Is this the end of Remy Ma's story? Or is this just the darkest chapter in a never truly clean one? If you're still shaken, please subscribe for the next leak, because we don't speculate around here, we expose.